INFJs are often described as mysterious, calm on the outside, but quietly storming within. People see their gentleness, their empathy, their listening, but few ever notice the patterns underneath, the quiet moves that reveal who they really are. The truth is, INFJs rarely show their entire self to anyone. They study the room before they speak, hide pain behind purpose, and process emotions with surgical precision. Their true nature lives in the details, not the words they say, but the energy they protect. This video uncovers 8 hidden behaviors that expose the INFJ's real essence, the parts they guard, the instincts that guide them, and the quiet strength that most people never get to witness. Because behind every calm INFJ smile lies a mind that feels everything, sees everything, and says almost nothing. So if you've ever wondered why you can sense the truth before others do, or why people often misunderstand your silence, this one's for you. Before we start, take a second to subscribe to Brainy. Our channel is dedicated to exploring the rare psychology behind INFJs, empaths, and deep thinkers. Let's uncover what makes your inner world so extraordinary. Now, let's begin with the first hidden behavior that reveals who INFJs truly are. They observe before they reveal. INFJs move through life like quiet analysts in a world that never stops talking. They are the ones who listen longer than they speak, who read between the pauses, and who let others expose themselves through tone, not confession. While most people rush to fill the silence, the INFJ studies it, decoding what's being said beneath the words. In a crowded room, their eyes drift to micro-expressions. A twitch of discomfort, a forced smile, a glance that lingers too long. But they don't judge it, they simply catalog it. It's their way of understanding human nature by watching first, reacting later. This is why INFJs often seem mysterious or hard to read. They give almost nothing away until they have observed everything. Their quietness isn't shyness, it's strategy. They want to know who's real before deciding what version of themselves to show. They measure consistency, not charm. They test sincerity, not speech. People mistake this stillness for passivity, but it's actually discernment. Every moment of silence is a psychological scan, a radar that picks up authenticity like a frequency. When they finally speak, their words are few but precise, surgical in truth, disarming in empathy, because by the time they decide to reveal their thoughts, they've already mapped the emotional landscape of everyone around them. This depth can be both a gift and a curse. They understand people too quickly and trust them too slowly, but that's what protects them from being drained, used, or misunderstood again. Their observation is a shield, not to hide fear, but to preserve energy. The INFJ has learned that not everyone deserves full access to their world, so they give fragments, not the whole story. They'll smile, listen, nod. But inside, their mind is building a full psychological profile of who you are, what you want, and whether you're safe. But this habit doesn't make them distant, it makes them wise, because while others are busy performing, the INFJ is quietly preparing, reading the truth in expressions, in energy, in silence. And when they finally do reveal themselves, it's never by accident. It's because they've decided you've earned the privilege of seeing who they really are. Intuition speaks louder than words. INFJs don't need proof to sense what's wrong, they feel it before it surfaces. Their intuition isn't a mystical talent, it's an evolved pattern recognition built from years of observing, feeling, and connecting dots others don't even notice. When someone walks into a room, the INFJ doesn't just see them, they read them. The tension behind the smile, the weight behind the I'm fine, the subtle mismatch between words and energy, it all registers instantly. Their intuition operates like radar, silently pinging for emotional inconsistencies, and the more someone tries to hide their true motives, the louder those invisible signals become. For an INFJ, intuition is not guesswork, it's language. They've learned that truth rarely arrives through what's said out loud. It comes through energy, tone, and timing. They can predict relationship shifts before anyone else notices the signs, feel when someone's withdrawing long before the conversation changes, and know when something feels off even when logic insists everything's fine. To others, this may seem uncanny, but to the INFJ, it's survival. Their intuition is how they've learned to stay one step ahead of manipulation, conflict, and heartbreak. But here's the paradox. This gift often isolates them. It's hard to trust when your instincts scream louder than people's words. The INFJ senses deception, but sometimes stays silent, waiting for evidence to match what their soul already knows. They've learned that calling out hidden truths too soon only invites denial or defensiveness. So they keep their awareness private, carrying unspoken knowledge like a quiet burden. Still, their intuition shapes every decision they make. It's what tells them when to walk away, when to stay, when to give one last chance, and when to close the chapter for good. They can't always explain how they know, they just do. And though people might call them too sensitive or paranoid, time almost always proves them right. Their intuition is their compass, unshakable, precise, and deeply human. It's how they navigate chaos without losing themselves. And for an INFJ, that inner knowing isn't just wisdom, it's home. It's the quiet voice that guides them long before anyone else realizes what's about to unfold. They mirror energy to understand intention. INFJs don't confront people to understand them, they become them. Without even realizing it, they mirror energy like an emotional chameleon. When they sense kindness, their tone softens, their presence warms. When they sense hidden motives, their body language tightens, their responses shorten. It's not imitation, it's intuition in motion. By reflecting back what others project, INFJs gain a clearer view of who's authentic and who's performant. It's how they collect emotional truth without needing confrontation or confession. This mirroring is not manipulation, it's empathy refined into a survival skill. The INFJ steps into someone's emotional frequency, feeling the rhythm of their thoughts, their insecurities, their defenses. In that space, they understand not just what a person says, but why they say it. They can feel the fear behind anger, the loneliness behind arrogance, the guilt behind indifference. It's like reading an entire story through someone's eyes without a single word spoken. But this ability comes at a cost, because when you can feel what others feel so clearly, it's easy to lose track of your own emotional center. That's why INFJs sometimes retreat after social interactions, not because they dislike people, but because they've absorbed too much of everyone else. They replay conversations in silence, filtering out what was real and what was just emotional noise. For them, solitude isn't isolation, it's emotional detox. Still, this mirroring gives the INFJ a unique power in relationships. They can disarm hostility with calmness, diffuse tension with understanding, and reveal manipulation simply by reflecting it back. When someone tries to deceive them, the INFJ's energy subtly shifts. They match the facade so perfectly that the pretender sees their own reflection and gets uncomfortable. It's psychological judo, using awareness, not aggression, to expose truth. And yet, the INFJ doesn't do this to win. They do it to understand. To them, mirroring isn't about control, it's about clarity. It's their way of mapping human nature, one emotion at a time. Because at their core, INFJs don't crave power over others, they crave understanding of them. And when they finally see a person's true intention, they decide, silently, whether that energy deserves to stay in their world or fade into memory. They withdraw when truth feels twisted. INFJs can tolerate many things: confusion, complexity, even emotional pain, but not dishonesty disguised as sincerity. When truth starts to bend, when someone's words no longer align with their energy, the INFJ begins to pull away. Not in anger, but in quiet recognition. They feel the distortion immediately. The subtle manipulation in tone, the inconsistency between what's promised and what's delivered. To others, it might seem like a small crack in communication, but to the INFJ, it's a fracture in trust, and once that happens, distance becomes their only protection. Withdrawal for an INFJ is not punishment, it's preservation. They've learned that arguing with twisted truth is like trying to reason with fog. The more you chase clarity, the more lost you become. So instead of fighting to prove what they know intuitively, they retreat to silence, letting distance do what confrontation never could: reveal authenticity. It's in that quiet absence that people show their true character. Those who genuinely care will notice. Those who only sought control will panic. This withdrawal is often misinterpreted as coldness or indifference, but in reality, it's deep emotional intelligence. The INFJ knows that energy doesn't lie. If someone's presence starts to feel heavy, they've already uncovered the truth behind it. Their silence, then, is a response. a soft but unyielding boundary. It's their way of saying, I see you clearly, and that's enough. In those moments of withdrawal, they don't shut down, they realign. They go inward, seeking peace over validation, clarity over chaos. They replay what happened, not to dwell, but to decode the lesson. And when they emerge again, it's never with resentment, it's with understanding. They've shed the illusion, reclaimed their energy, and reaffirmed that truth doesn't need to be forced, it simply is. What makes this so powerful is that the INFJ doesn't announce their departure. They just stop showing up emotionally. Conversations lose their depth, responses get shorter, and their eyes, once full of understanding, become unreadable. That's when you know an INFJ has seen through the distortion and chosen peace instead. Because for them, walking away isn't giving up. It's the highest form of self-respect. They heal themselves by healing others. INFJs carry an emotional radar so sensitive that they can feel someone else's pain as if it were their own. But what most people don't see is that when they reach out to comfort others, they're also quietly tending to their own wounds. Healing for an INFJ is rarely a one-way act. It's an exchange of energy. When they guide someone out of darkness, they're reminding themselves of the light they once had to find alone. Every kind word they give, every piece of understanding they offer is a reflection of what they once needed but didn't receive. They don't heal through avoidance or denial, they heal through empathy and motion. When an INFJ listens to someone's heartbreak, their mind drifts back to the time they felt the same ache, the same betrayal, the same loneliness. But instead of collapsing into the memory, they transform it into strength. By helping others process pain, they unconsciously rewrite their own emotional history. It's as if they're telling their younger self, "We made it through, and here's how." This is why INFJs often attract broken souls. They radiate safety, not because life has been kind to them, but because they've learned to make peace with their own scars. People feel it instinctively. They sense the quiet reassurance in the INFJ's presence, that rare energy that says, "You're safe here. You're understood." But what outsiders rarely realize is that the INFJ's compassion is both gift and therapy. Every time they help someone else find clarity, they heal another layer of themselves. Yet there's a fine line between healing through empathy and losing oneself in it. INFJs who forget this balance often burn out, giving until their own emotional reserves run dry. That's when they retreat, not because they've stopped caring, but because they must refill the well. In solitude, they reflect, rebuild, and return, stronger, wiser, and even more capable of guiding others. To heal others, they face their pain head-on. To heal themselves, they turn that pain into purpose. It's not self-sacrifice, it's transformation. And that's the quiet magic of an INFJ, their ability to take something that once broke them and use it to make the world and themselves whole again. They test depth through silence. When an INFJ grows quiet, it isn't because they have nothing to say, it's because they want to see what's real when words disappear. Silence to them is not absence, it's a filter. It reveals who's truly connected and who's only there for the sound of validation. The INFJ's silence is their way of testing the emotional gravity of the people around them, a subtle experiment that separates those who listen with intent from those who only hear themselves speak. In silence, patterns emerge. They notice who grows uncomfortable, who starts over-explaining, who changes the subject, and who stays still, unbothered, patient, genuine. To the INFJ, that stillness speaks louder than any promise ever could. They understand that anyone can play empathy in words, but very few can maintain presence without needing to perform it. So they pull back, not to punish, but to observe. Their silence creates space for truth to surface naturally, without pressure or persuasion. This quiet test also protects their energy. INFJs have learned that depth doesn't need noise. The people who truly understand them won't demand constant communication or mistake their introspection for distance. Those who can meet them in silence, who can share space without forcing connection, pass the test without even realizing it. But those who chase reassurance, who try to fill every pause with ego or drama, reveal their own emotional shallowness. It's during these silent intervals that INFJs measure compatibility on a soul level. They don't need grand gestures, they need resonance. If your energy feels calm and they're quiet, they'll open up like a hidden world. If it feels restless, you'll find their presence slowly fading, almost imperceptibly, until the bond dissolves. Because for them, silence isn't awkward, it's sacred. It's the place where sincerity lives, where masks fall, where authenticity breathes. And here's the paradox. Most people fail this test, not because they're bad, but because they misunderstand it. They think the INFJ's silence means disinterest when it's actually evaluation. It's their way of asking without words, can you still understand me when I stop explaining myself? Those who can, stay. Those who can't never truly knew them in the first place. They mask pain with purpose. INFJs don't escape pain, they assign it meaning. When life hits them with disappointment or heartbreak, they rarely crumble in public. Instead, they retreat inward, take a deep breath, and start building something out of the wreckage. To outsiders, it may look like calm acceptance, even emotional detachment. But beneath that calm exterior lies a storm, a mind tirelessly working to transform suffering into purpose. Pain, for them, isn't a stopping point, it's raw material. Every wound becomes a lesson, every betrayal, a new layer of empathy, every loss, a reminder to live with intention. They've learned that not all pain can be fixed, but all pain can be used. So instead of breaking down, they channel their emotion into creation. They write, build, mentor, design, or help others in ways that subtly reflect their own scars. It's their secret form of alchemy, turning what once hurt them into something that heals others. That's why INFJs often appear to bounce back stronger after adversity. It's not that they heal faster, it's that they refuse to let their suffering go to waste. They see meaning as medicine. But this purposeful resilience comes at a cost. Sometimes masking pain with productivity hides the depth of their exhaustion. They'll smile, work, and give advice while quietly bleeding on the inside. They carry the weight with grace because vulnerability to them feels sacred, not something to be shared with just anyone. Their strength is misunderstood as ease, but in truth, it's discipline. They've learned that while pain demands attention, it doesn't deserve control. In private, however, their mask comes off. Tears flow, words spill into journals, or silence becomes their sanctuary. They process deeply, then reemerge with renewed calm, not because the pain vanished, but because it finally taught them something. Each time they survive, they evolve. Each time they hurt, they understand more about the human heart. So when you see an INFJ doing something purposeful, helping others, creating beauty, or chasing a quiet mission, know this, they're not just achieving, they're healing. Their pain isn't hidden weakness, it's refined strength. The more they turn it into purpose, the less it owns them. And in that transformation lies the quiet brilliance of who they truly are. They protect peace more than people. For most of their lives, INFJs put others first, comforting, fixing, explaining, and absorbing. But eventually, something inside them shifts. They realize that protecting everyone else's comfort has cost them their own. From that moment on, peace becomes sacred. It stops being just a feeling and becomes a standard. They no longer sacrifice their sanity for approval or stretch themselves thin to hold broken pieces together. The world might label it cold, but in truth, it's the most loving thing they've ever done for themselves. An evolved INFJ doesn't cut people off out of bitterness, they do it out of clarity. They understand that not everyone deserves access to their inner calm. They've seen what happens when they allow chaos too close. Their intuition dulls, their energy drains, and their sense of purpose fades. So they begin to guard peace like oxygen, quietly, firmly, without apology. If a conversation feels heavy with manipulation, they end it early. If a connection feels one-sided, they step back, not to punish, but to preserve. They've learned that peace is not found in people, it's maintained despite them. True peace, to an INFJ, is an internal landscape cultivated through solitude, reflection, and honest boundaries. They protect it because they've earned it through years of emotional labor. And once they find it, they won't trade it for anyone's comfort, explanation, or ego. The moment they sense someone trying to disturb that inner stillness, the INFJ's quiet exit begins. No argument, no drama, just a graceful disappearance. People often misinterpret this as indifference, but it's actually evolution. The INFJ has simply outgrown the need to save everyone. They've realized that their energy is their most valuable currency, and peace is the most luxurious thing they can afford. To them, love without peace isn't love, it's bondage. So they keep their circle small, their environment clean, and their mind clear. And when someone asks why they're distant, they don't explain. They've stopped defending their peace to those who thrive in noise. Because peace doesn't need justification, it just needs protection. In the end, an INFJ's greatest loyalty isn't to people anymore, it's to the quiet within them that finally feels like home. When an INFJ finally learns to protect their peace more than people, it's not coldness, it's evolution. It's the quiet realization that peace is the foundation of purpose, and without it, even love loses meaning. So if you've reached that point where silence feels safer than explaining yourself, you're not broken, you're growing. If this message resonated with you, take a deep breath and remember, peace is not selfish, it's sacred. Let this be your reminder to protect it at all costs. Before you go, if you found a piece of yourself in this video, help Brainy One reach more old souls like you. Hit subscribe, drop a comment sharing how you protect your own peace, and let's build a quiet corner of understanding together. You're not alone, you're just evolving differently.